Alright, so it's finally time to make my hand paws and my tail for Maple over there, just in time for TFF. And yeah, TFF might be tomorrow at the time of recording, and it's currently 3 p.m, but you know, it's better late than never. I don't know why I'm like this either. I'm not super duper worried because I sort of have a rough idea of what I want to do as well as some patterns that I'm going to use. So right now I just need to finally start and do it. It's time to go cover my house in fur. Okay, so I have this pattern from Runner Rabbit here on YouTube. It was a nice free paw pattern with a YouTube video tutorial, and I definitely recommend it. It was very easy to understand. But I think the hardest part for me is actually getting these paws in the correct direction. And now I'm realizing when I'm putting them together, they don't really have a direction. It's sort of, you pick your favorite hand. And I think I'm going to start with cutting out the actual top and bottom of the paws first, just so I have a better reference and they're bigger pieces. So the bottom paw doesn't have any registration marks on it, so I think that's fine. And I'm pretty sure that's it for the brown fur. I think it's only her like finger bits that are actually white, which I was cautioned against by some of y'all in the comments, which is very valid. I think little white socks are cute, so I want to do them. So right now I'm just cutting them out in a big square because I'm going to shave them all when they're in one big piece instead of all together, just so I don't get any bald spots. Alright, I will say the white fur that I got is super duper soft, like it feels like a really nice plush animal. However, it is such a pain to work with because these fibers don't feel like regular faux fur. They're very teddy bear-esque. But that's okay, because you know what? I get to sew the absolutely smallest and most slipperiest thing, the toe beans, with them. So I got all of the inner fingers laid out and drawn out, so I'm going to go ahead and cut out the square that they're in and work on the outer fingers next. Okay, with all the fur stuff cut out, it is time to cut out the paw pads. And of course I have 2 different colors of Minky because it gotta be extra. This is the one that I used for her nose, and I really like it. And I also got a different color to use for her different colored paw pads, but it turned out super duper red, so I didn't want to use that one. So I'm going to use this lighter brown that I was going to use for her moth wings, and I will use this on her moth wings in the future, which is a different video. So I don't really recall how you're supposed to do the paws. I do know that you're supposed to like lay them face down and then sort of sew over them and trim them down. So I'm going to keep them as like their boxes for the most part. Beans. Okay, it's now time to shave down our pieces. I'm not going to go too far because this fur, as you can see, is already pretty short pile. But I do want to make this orange color match the length of this beaver that I have right here. It just needs to go down a little bit. I might actually put on a guard so I don't go too low. Really sure if the guard is doing that much. I don't think it's actually like letting me get into the fur. So I think I'm going to take the guard off. There you go. Ta-da! Now it's pretty short. It's pretty much a beaver length right now. So I'm pretty happy with the shave job. It was a lot easier than shaving down the face. I don't think I need to shave down the beaver fur because it's just already so short and I don't want to take off even more. I do, however, need to shave down the white fur because it is just kind of a little too long. But I've had some issues with the white fur and the shaving process of the head. It's very easy to remove from its backing, and it's very easy to accidentally get to the backing with the razor. I told you that it likes to get caught and stuck. So this is very patchy. Definitely cut down to the pile here on some of them, and I'm hoping that it's not gonna be that big of a deal because I'm not really sure how to fix that. Okay, I think that's the best sort of fix I can do for this, and it's a lot shorter now, so hopefully it'll be easy to sew and cut, and I won't have to deal with this forever again. I'm gonna go cut out all of the paw pieces and the finger pieces off camera because you don't really want to see me cut things because it's very slow and it's very boring. I actually forgot to cut these pieces out, but they are basically the bottom of the paw pads where the little pink minky will go. And I went ahead and I cut them out, shaved them, and attached them to the bottom pieces of the paws. One of the harder bits of the paws was actually attaching the paw pads. I should have left them in larger sheets because, as you can see here, I was sort of finagling them to sit straight and even without any puckers, but eventually it took some perseverance, but I got it. To stitch these together, I just took them to my machine and used a simple straight stitch and stitched all the way around the paw pads. Next, I went around each paw pad and trimmed very close to my stitches on the correct side, and this is what makes it look like they're sort of appliqued on. Then I cut a slit in the back and stuffed each of the beans with some polyfill. I really like the puffy paw pad look, so I tried to make them as plush as I could. With the bottom halves finished, it was time to move to the tops, which of course included sewing up all of those little toes. They were also pretty easy to attach. I just used the darts on the back piece of the paw pattern and just sort of lined up the toes so that the darts were in between each one of them. Clip them together and you have a paw. For the final yet hardest part of making the paws was attaching the two halves together. So I laid them right sides together and clipped all around the edges. It was a little bit hard to clip around the toes, so I just tried my best to line them up at the tip and just kind of added some more around the edges. Using a zigzag stitch, I just stitched all around the paws, trying my hardest to make sure everything was lined up underneath, but I did have some slippages here and then. You can see when my accidental finger escapes happened. But those holes were pretty easy to patch up. Before we could flip them inside out, I needed to cover up my stuffing holes, and usually you would just take a sewing needle, but I went the more maniac way, which included taking small pieces of felt and gluing them to the paw pad opening, trimming around the hole, and you know what? It worked for me. With the time crunch, I couldn't really add lining or sort of puffy paw pillows at the ends, so that will have to come later. But I'm pretty happy with how these paws turned out. They're super duper cute. So it's currently 10:30 p.m. I just finished up the hand paws, which were kind of a lot more than I thought they'd be. I have a little bit of a headache right now, so I'm gonna go take a break and let my phone charge and hang out with Peanut over here. And then I'm gonna get started on the tail, and hopefully the tail won't take that long because I'm not trying to be up until 2 a.m. again. Okay, I'm back at it again after my little break, and now I'm gonna be working on doing the tail. And I'm gonna be working on doing the tail pattern as well as getting the tail fur cut out. And I'll be sewing it all together in the morning before we leave for TFF. Okay, I like this shape. It's very free-handed, but it's also very puffy like the reference art is. And I do like a big poofy cat tail, so I think this will have to do. All right, next thing we gotta do is I have to draw out the patterns on the tail, which for Maple is super duper easy because she has literally 4 colors. Basically, her tail is brown from the base all the way to right here, then an orange, then cream, then white. So for this tail, we're gonna need 2 of these pieces, one this way and the other one mirrored. So let me go ahead and cut out all of our little pieces here. Brown, orange, cream, and white. And I have the brown right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and trace this on, making sure I follow the same fur direction. Let's go ahead and pin these all together so I can sew them up real quick. Alright, so we have the tail pinned together. So it's going to look like when it's sewn. Ta-da! Super cute. So I'm going to go ahead and pin up the other side of this tail and take them to my sewing machine. And we're basically just going to pin all the way from here, follow the curve inside, and leave this gap at the top to turn it out. Look at this tail in its full sausage form. Let's go ahead and get this sewn up. With the tail all stitched together, there was only one thing to do, which was turn it inside out. It was getting pretty late at night, so I decided to go off camera to stuff it, and it was just simply adding some scraps of fabric to the ends and some polyfill. Despite my con crunching, I think my paws and tail turned out super duper cute for about the 10 hours that it took for me to make. I think that the paws could always use more work. I used black thread at the tips and you can really see it if you look closely, but I think when they're moving, they're fine. As for the tail, I think it's nice. However, for the next tail I do, I would definitely add a structured base because it was a little floppy. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you liked this video, hit the like button, and if you want to see more crafting content from me, go ahead and hit subscribe. Thank you!